Hello and welcome back to Big Nostalgia. I am Phil.
And I am Vicky.
And this is the podcast where we look at games from our childhood. We talk about how they were developed, the background in the industry when they were kind of thought up in the first place. We look at their story if they have it. We look at their audio and visual design if they have it. And then we go on to quirks, if they have them, and other interesting bits and pieces that we found out about the game. Sometimes there's a lot, sometimes there's not as much. I'm interested to see how much there is this week because the game is Just Dance, the only game title this season that is also an instruction. And now I'm going to pass over to Vicky for more instructions and more information on the game.
I think I'll probably go a bit more information and less instructions, but as Phil said, this week it's Just Dance on the Wii. Just Dance is what it says on the tin. It is a dancing game. It was developed by Ubisoft Paris and Ubisoft Milan. Ubisoft Paris managing director was called Xavier Pox, and Ubisoft's producer was called Florian Granger. They both come up in my information, so I'm just pointing them out now. The publishing team, surprise, surprise, is Ubisoft. It was released in the UK on November the 27th, 2009 on the Nintendo Wii. Now, it was developed by a small team at Ubisoft Paris and Ubisoft Milan and was only officially pitched 6 months prior to its eventual release. So there wasn't a lot of time between ideas and release. But out of all the games it originated from, I did not know this. Of all places, the idea of the game actually came from Rayman's Raven Rabbit series.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Out of all the games to be inspired, I just assumed that it came from, because they had a lot of different dancing games out. I mean, you've got those games in the arcade that I'm going to mention later with the arrows that you step on, stuff like that.
Dance Dance Revolution.
Dance Dance Revolution, that's the one. But no, this was actually Rayman's Raven Rabbits 2 featured a music minigame where the players shook the Wii Remote or the nunchuck when promoted to play an instrument. For Rayman's Raven Rabbits TV Party, the concept was alliterated in the pose-based dance game. Providing popular demonstrations, the concept was refined and redeveloped into the standalone game Just Dance. So, of course, in the Raven Rabbits TV Party, you'd have to do your controller to the different movements of the rabbits. That's where they got their inspiration from.
Yet another Rayman spin-off game that's removed Rayman over the years.
I know, right? I just didn't think... Well, to be fair, I don't really know the Raven Rabbit series that well, but I just didn't expect it to come from that sort of game.
No, you don't expect it, do you? Because it's not as if it's dancing rabbits in the final game, and everyone's got limbs, so you don't expect Rayman, because obviously all his hands are floating around. So yeah, you don't. But then it just shows how game mechanics, like systems, can really come from anywhere. And then all it takes is the right person to say, but what if we did it this way? And you get something that's really mass appeal. Because I reckon if they called it Raven Rabbids Dance or something, it probably wouldn't have sold quite as much as just the very simple, very clean branding that Just Dance eventually had.
Well, the Ubisoft French managing director Xavier Pox and his team felt that the Wii Remote and the nunchuck would work well for music games. Pox explained that unlike the Raven Rabbit games, which he described as being a gamer's game, Just Dance was designed to contrast skill-based rhythm games with the concept control scheme that would be accessible for mainstream audiences, encouraging them to get off the couch and have fun together. So it really pushes that Nintendo prospect of, ages 5 to 95 and getting all the family involved and not just being like a console for just gamers. It was another one that branches into what we've already talked about in the Wii Fit games and of course the Wii Sports games. It's just trying to branch off and make gaming for all, really.
Yeah, although Vicky, the Wii Fit is a later episode this season. We haven't released it yet.
No, so we'll have to see what we get to talk about.
See what we say there.
We'll have to see what we say there, but obviously I'm just using that as an example.
Just an example of a Wii game, just off the top of my head.
Of a Wii game.
And also it's good to see that for Just Dance it is more based on like just having fun, because as much as I think stuff before, like say DDR, and one that comes to mind is kind of even stuff like Guitar Hero, is great. But I was always crap at Guitar Hero, so
was I.
DDR also requires very like precise like learning of the movements to be able to do it. Whereas Just Dance is a lot more light. It's just a bit more like just have fun kind of thing, and therefore you're more likely to get people involved. It's like the difference between like sometimes having just like formal dancing at an event compared to like having just a disco. Like you're more likely to get people involved with just a disco because they can just have fun.
Well, it's good that you said that, because the Ubisoft producer Florian Granger noted that Just Dance was designed to help players overcome their inhibitions and anxieties towards dancing, to help build a vocabulary of moves so they can practice in a safe context. The prospect was making people feel more comfortable in social situations, as well as being a fun game to play, with the game itself being a focal point of attention rather than themselves.
And so it lowers inhibitions, get you to be more sociable, and makes you dance.
I know,
so it's basically
right?
video game alcohol.
Yeah, and it gets you off the sofa, it gets you off your bum.
Yeah.
He even was quoted saying, "Everyone remembers going to a nightclub or school disco where it takes a couple of hours before anyone has a bottle to get up and dance. Most guys do is fixed place beer bottle dance or the neck shake to the beat."
We've all done that.
Yeah. The kind of awkward little nodding dog head, I'd like to call it. I know you can't see, but I am demonstrating it.
I can confirm that Vicky is nodding her head.
Although there was some critiques, the creative director Grigori Spillman argued that the existing dance games at the time merely instructed players to press buttons with their feet rather than actually dance. So acknowledging such games as Dance Dance Revolution, which you mentioned earlier, was a popular arcade game released in Japan in 1988 and then later in Europe and America in 1999, which required the player to step on the correct pad and arrows to dance, whereas Spiller likened Just Dance to be a reversal of the concept, in which the dance moves themselves were to fit into the gameplay and could be applied outside the game as well.
Yeah, because it's not as if you go anywhere and see people like dancing by stepping forward, stepping backwards, stepping left, stepping right, tapping on the spot.
No, well, not purely just that. I mean, some people might argue that certain dance techniques require you to like step forward, step back, and spin on the spot and all that kind of stuff, but not in quite the same way.
Yeah, they're not in the head just like DDR.
They also felt that this was a good time to do this sort of game because of the Wii remote. The Wii remote being, of course, a handheld device away from the actual game console. It, a bit like Wii Sport, it promotes a person to kind of get up and actually do a bit more physical movements, which this sort of console allowed players to finally do rather than just pressing buttons. The team deliberately focused on building the mechanics of Just Dance around the Wii remote. They did consider some accessories. With the nunchuck, initially they thought would be a good way to do certain movements, but they found because of the limitation of the length of the wire connecting the Wii control to the nunchuck, you couldn't really get into the swing of dancing.
Yeah.
They also considered dance pads, arm and leg bands to kind of sense that you're moving your body, but they found that it was too limiting. And there was also more stuff they were making for the game rather than just building on what they already had.
Yeah. Also becomes a bit too
gimmicky.
Complicated and gimmicky for an onlooker. So I think the strength of something like Just Dance is it's just like, oh, that person is just shaking the Wii remote. They're not having to spend 5 minutes gearing up beforehand.
Literally just pick up the controller and get going, yeah.
Not like something like, what was it, the recent Switch Sports that we've talked about before this season, and also Ring Fit Adventure. Obviously, that's got the leg strap you use in both of those to stick, obviously, a ring con in. But that's a lot more based on like fitness and stuff, and you actually do kit up for it, whereas Just Dance, you're not less likely to get someone to spontaneously join in if there's a lot of prep. It would just be like, here you go, here's a remote, you're next.
I do like the concept of having like a leg brace or something, because of course a lot of people took advantage of the fact that it was just the Wii controller. So like other games in the Nintendo franchise, like Wii Fit, they could get away with just shaking it, whereas with the thing on your leg kind of does make sure that you are using your legs, but of course the technology wasn't quite there yet. And as you said, the dance pads, arm and leg bands, I think would have been a lot more gimmicky and a bit more complicated. So they kept it nice and simple, no distractions, and just kept it with the Wii remote.
Just dancing.
Just dancing. There was a lack of support for the game by fellow developers during the development stage. While Pox felt that his team had developed a game that could potentially become successful, his colleagues at Ubisoft Paris doubted Just Dance. Pox explained that people thought it would never work because people don't dance, or that it wasn't precise enough for people to actually learn to dance. Granger felt that the development team would be cynical for Just Dance due to the oversaturated market for casual games on the Wii, but noted that there was a sense of excitement among them as it would be based on a proven code base, such as Dance Dance Revolution, as an example to build upon. So there was some dubious feelings towards it, even in development.
Yeah, it sounds like the video game version of the movie Footloose.
Yeah, the old fogies don't want it to... We don't understand this new music that you want to get into. And it's just like, no, get with it. It will work.
Yeah, you guys need to learn how to dance. Take a Wii remote.
Well, yeah, it was definitely a dubious sort of way to go. So it was the first of that sort of style, sort of dancing game to get people more active. It wasn't really able to be accessible like that before the Wii was invented. So it was very kind of like cautious, which would be the same with any sort of game. I mean, they were cautious about Pikmin 1 when it first came out.
They were cautious about Mario Galaxy. If you want to know more about that, you should join us next week.
So a first in the series is always a little bit... there's a lot of critique and whether it's going to work or not. We have talked a lot about Just Dance's development, so let's move on to the gameplay. It's very, as I said, it's a very simple premise. After selecting a song, or either a short or full version of it, the players are presented with an on-screen dancer, as well as the occasional display of scrolling pictogram silhouettes representing specific poses. While holding the Wii remote in their right hands, players follow the moves on the on-screen dancer and their choreographed routines. Players are judged by their animated score icons on the ranking scale of accuracy for each of their moves in comparison to the on-screen dancer and receive points. And there's 3 judgments. There's X, O, OK, and great. X means you didn't stick the landing, kid. OK means the player tried, but wasn't quite there. And of course, great means, woohoo, they did an awesome job. Some moves are shake moves, while the shake meter appears in front of the animated score icons, giving the player a chance to shake their Wii remotes as fast as they could to earn extra bonus points. I've got to admit, when we played this, I only remember playing the standard play, which was basically you press a song and you'd copy the moves. That's the one I remember playing myself. But apparently there's 3 other modes. 3 modes are included. You've got the warm-up mode, serves as a practice mode. In the strike a pose mode, players are instructed at random to freeze, a bit like red light, green light.
Right, okay.
And then in the last one stand-in mode, players are given 7 lives. The player that loses lives on mistakes and gain them back after hitting 5 correct moves in a row. And the players are eliminated if they lose all their lives. But I don't actually remember playing any of those modes at all.
Yeah, it's nice to have some variety of game styles, but I think the one that it's known for is kind of that classic just dance mode.
Yeah, you play the song, choose long or short or whatever, and just dance.
Yeah, it's not complicated. It doesn't need to be complicated. I do like the idea of those other modes, though. I
do love the simplicity of the name as well. Just dance. That's basically what it says. It just dance. But yeah, I do like the fact that it offered more modes, and in later games they have developed it a lot more than they did in the first. But again, like we've said, to Pikmin 1, to Pikmin 2, to Pikmin 3, as the series progresses, certain things are picked up, certain things are perfected, certain things are looked into a bit more. So for first game, I do like the options available.
Yeah.
So, do you know how many songs are included in Just Dance? The first one.
The box is too far away in this room for me to grab it and cheat, so I'm going to have to guess. 14.
There's, in fact, 33 songs.
That's way off.
You kind of were, yeah. There's 33 songs. There are certain difficulties, and I do find it funny that you've got difficulty numbers 1 to 3 and effort 1 to 3. So, for example, Can't Get You Out of My Head by Kylie Minogue, the difficulty is level 2, but the effort is number 1. So, if you get it right, woohoo, but it doesn't actually take too much effort to get it right.
I suppose there's songs that probably require a lot more movement, like it's going to be based on what the effort is going to be related to what, I guess, the tempo of the song.
I'm assuming so. Like, the one I remember doing, the 3 I remember doing the most is The Kids in America, Who Let the Dogs Out, and Eye of the Tiger. Those seem to be, oh my goodness, those seem to be the most popular across the board. I seem to be doing those all the freaking time when I used to play this. Eye of the Tiger, for example, difficulty 1. It really wasn't that difficult, but effort level 3, because the moves that you had to do were more like boxing moves, because it was trying to integrate, of course,
Rocky.
to the Rocky films and stuff like that. So it is interesting. Of course, some of them, they're all quite known songs. I mean, you got Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah, classic.
You've got Hot and Cold by Katy Perry. You've got A Wannabe by the Spice Girls. Womanizer by Britney. I mean, I think they had a nice range of songs, which is good. And it hits from like known songs for that century to quite older songs as well. So I think that's on its 5 to 95 sort of premise. It wasn't just songs from recent history.
I think some of the more classic songs are, they're disco songs. They're songs that you would dance to anyway, which kind of helps push sell the concept in the first game as well. Like
Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah, it's a big dancing one anyway, even if you weren't playing the game. So possibly it's one to be like, look, they got Cotton Eye Joe on here. You love dancing to that. Come on, play the game.
And I suppose Who Let the Dog Out is something that you'd probably hear at school disco or whatever.
Yeah, good bit of cheese.
Well, there was two choreographers called Julia Spencer and Jeremy Paquette, and they were the choreographers for all the songs in Just Dance. This meant that this is the game in the main series with the fewest choreographers and performers, because they literally had one for the girl characters and one for the boy characters.
Yeah, I'm guessing this first game probably had the smallest budget and the smallest everything, really. It was only once it started becoming this big phenomenon that they were probably like, okay, we need to start getting more people on. Naturally teams on sequels kind of tend to grow and things as their budget goes up to get like more stuff in it.
Well, reception-wise, Just Dance received generally negative reviews from critics. Metacritic lists the game with an aggravated score of 49 out of 100 based on 21 critical reviews, indicating a general unfavourable reception. GameSpot was relatively positive, praising the Just Dance for having a simplistic gameplay. However, the game's motion detection was considered frustrating and unrewarding, and the game was also panned for its graphical quality and its lack of career modes and downloadable content. So the fact that the game was quite simple was in its favour, but also against it. People were expecting a lot more from the game.
Who would have wanted a career mode in Just Dance?
I don't know, but apparently it's a thing. But then again, I've never really considered it in freaking football games, and it seems to be the norm now. And wrestling games.
It's that value proposition for a game that they've got single player modes that you can kind of do as well. Like, obviously, one of the games we talked about a few weeks ago was one that has single player mode that we love, although it's a multiplayer game primarily, which is Smash Brothers. Like, you would potentially say, why does a fighting game need a story mode? But obviously that was great.
Yeah, exactly.
Not saying it can't be done. It's just when I think of Just Dance, I think of just like, I think it being very situational when you would play it, which is kind of like parties and like social gatherings. I can't imagine someone powering up Just Dance and being like, oh, I want to get through the next level. I want to just get through the next bit of the campaign.
However, if you think about it, nowadays there's certain games such as Zumba games that are advertised for fitness. That would be a Just Dance sort of concept because you have to copy the person on the screen.
Yeah.
But that's something that you could easily do by yourself because it's through fitness.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I suppose Just Dance as a fitness tool is probably quite valuable. But I suppose because it's not strictly marketed as one, you don't think of it quite as much. It's like you say, you've got like the Zumba ones, you've got like kickboxing ones on the Switch now. Obviously the ones that we talk to a lot, which are Wii Fit, which we're talking about in a few weeks, and also Ring Fit Adventure, which is kind of its modern day sequel. But those are marketed as single player experiences from the get-go.
Yeah, this was more pushed as a group thing to do with your friends.
Yeah, so I guess it can be done. It's just, yeah, I'm surprised that was a point held against it.
Well, the Nintendo World Report felt the game soundtrack was fun, but cheesy at times. The gamer's user's interface was described as being colourful, but minimalistic, while the appearance of the on-screen dancers was compared... Do you remember those iPod commercials?
Yes, and it does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, unfortunately, that came out around about the same time, so there was a lot of critique that was basically a copy or like too similar to that. I do find this one funny. IGN.com felt that Just Dance was an experience so devoid of depth or even basic game concept that it would be considered a rip-off, even if it's one of those Chinese knockoff systems masquerading as an existing console. And I was just like, ouch.
Damn.
Yeah, that is a meow moment, IGN.com.
A lot of people going into the review of a game called Just Dance expecting high art.
I know, right? And I mean, I think I've said this already, but it is what it says on the tin. It is a Just Dance. It's literally copy them and dance. It wasn't supposed to be taken so freaking seriously. But it was a surprise though. In contrast to the critical reception, Just Dance was a major commercial success for Ubisoft. For a period, it was the top selling video game in the United Kingdom, and in March 2010, Ubisoft announced that Just Dance has sold 2 million copies worldwide.
Blimmin' heck. Just shows as well that sometimes it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if people like it or not. I think it was just taken as it was supposed to be taken, as a dance game that you could do at home with your friends and have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Well, in October 2010, the company announced that over 4.3 million copies of the game had been sold worldwide. So
damn.
In March, it was 2 million. By October that same year, it's 4.3 million.
Yeah, it just shows that people probably just looked at the box like, this looks fun. Looked at the song list and were like, those are cheesy songs. I like those, yeah.
Or I know that song, or I remember dancing to that down at the school, in the school disco, whatever. Let's have a go. Or even like weddings. Weddings normally have a bit of a cheesy song list, don't they?
Yeah. Well, it's probably bought for a party or something, even if it was never played again afterwards.
Well, I've personally think it was... some of these critiques were a little bit harsh, really. But let's move on to my favourite bit, which is the quirks. Now, there was a surprising amount of quirks for a Just Dance game. For example, on Metacritic, Just Dance has the worst reception out of all the games in the franchise. The original one has the worst reception of 49% out of all of them. So, hey, they improved. What you take from that is it got better.
And also, from like the second one onwards, people are probably a lot more knowing what they're buying kind of thing, so...
Knowing what to expect, yeah.
Yeah, so the reviews probably became a bit softer over time, because they're like, this is just another Just Dance game. As long as it's being a good Just Dance game, it's probably alright, even if it's, even if I still don't think it compares to my high art.
Well, I never thought of Just Dance as having DLC either, but apparently Just Dance is the first main installment to not have DLC. Games from Just Dance 2 to Just Dance 2015 have DLCs, while the games from Just Dance 2016 onwards have Just Dance Ultimate, and that's only for 8th generation consoles. So every other Just Dance game has DLC. I think it just involved more songs, to be fair.
That's what I was going to think it would be, yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't add to the roster of songs on the first one. But I feel like 33 songs is, I suppose if you played it quite a lot, the games would get a bit repetitive, but...
Yeah.
I felt that was plenty enough, but it's good in the later games, obviously that was an issue, to add more routines and have a bit more added onto it. I suppose it's a bit similar to if you played Mario Kart 8 and you've played all the tracks, you want new tracks to explore and to challenge yourself on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like anything, it's that new content just to keep your kind of like core fans, the ones that are playing it the most, keeping them happy.
Well, Just Dance 2009 version, the first version. So this Just Dance is the only main series game of Just Dance which does not have songs that were released in the game's release year. So there's no 2009 songs in this Just Dance version. In every single other copy, there are songs from that year.
I think that's probably down to the cost of licensing them.
Yeah. And it was the very first one.
Yeah. I reckon that comes back down to budget. They're probably like, well, we don't have as much budget to like license songs, so we're going to have to go... That's why they probably lean on a few of the old ones.
Classics.
Whereas like the ones that have just come out, especially those ones which are currently like number one or whatever, like probably going to cost a lot more.
for something that they weren't sure whether it was going to be a hit or not. Whereas even though it wasn't well received, it was financially stable afterwards.
Yeah.
This one does not have scrolling lyrics. Lyrics do not scroll line by line as they do from Just Dance 2 onwards, but a line or two are displayed at a time, after which they immediately change to the next portion of the lyrics. So in later ones you can see it's more like a Star Wars scroll rather than like just a bit at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
This one does not have alternative routines. There's only one routine per song, which I think obviously that was a critique, and I think that has been improved in later versions of the game, which means that a bit more variety if you are a consistent player of it. And I do find this... So, the censorship in Cotton Eye Joe, because they use the word hell, is...
Really?
Yeah. So in the song Cotton Eye Joe, there is a hell reference. In this one, it's not censored. But in later games, it is censored.
Cotton Eye Joe, the song that is famously about heroin addiction.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's such a big deal or whatever. But so this but in the series, this version, Just Dance number 1, is the only game in the main series that does have a scoring system over 1,500, dances with only one colour beside white, exclusive solo routines, a visual 1, 2, 3, 4 countdown before the routine commences, the shake moves, 2B pictograms, which from Just Dance 2 onwards is made into 3D, and none of the dancers in the trailer of the game made an appearance in the actual game, as they are only there for promotional reasons. Which I found was funny. Why have them... Yeah, it frustrates me because so many games do this. They show you stuff in the trailer that you don't actually play in the bloody game. What's the point? Just show gameplay, show the stuff, sell the stuff that you're actually going to be offering to people.
Yeah, that is funny, isn't it? Especially for a game that's just dancing anyway. So.
But the routines were used. So in the trailer, the routines that you see the dancers do, they were used, but the dancers themselves were not.
Huh.
Weird, right?
Yeah, that's very weird.
So in this version, the scoring was a huge issue, as it was not at its full potential at the time. Hand movements often were read incorrectly and gave you a score of X or OK. The scoring was fixed in its successor and other successful Just Dance games. Because of this, the maximum score is still unknown today. If one scores over 10,000, a gold border will appear on the menu icon. And if one score is at or above 1,500, a gold border with a crown will appear on the menu icon.
Damn.
So you can't actually score that high in any other Just Dance games. This was only for the first one.
Yeah, well, I suppose stuff like that you will work out that as you kind of go along and refine as each new one comes out. But yeah, I'm not surprised at stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just how they've developed it, really. This Just Dance game is the only one in the main series that is playable in both 4.3 ratios and 16.9 widescreen aspect ratios. This is because this game was designed to be played in 4.3, but starting with Just Dance 2, the aspect ratio is Force 16.9.
Okay, and also I suppose by then all the consoles are 16.9.
Yeah.
But if it's on the Wii, like we talked about this in our Mario Party 8 episode, how it's really weird that game is presented in 4:3 aspect ratio.
In the gameplay, but not in the menu.
Yeah, and it just looks off. Like
it looks so weird. It looks out of place. So it is good that they forced it to the 16.9. But I'm not sure how much ratio do you have to really worry about when it's literally just quite a simple... It's literally just a character and a simple background.
Yeah.
It's not as distracting as it was in the Mario Party 8 game.
Yeah, I suppose. And also, I'm guessing, back 2009, people probably still did have CRT TVs, and like 4:3 TVs. So maybe it was just because, nowadays it's unheard of really to come across a square TV.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas back then they probably would have still been quite prominent.
Well, I suppose they wanted to cover it as well, just in case.
Yeah.
This Just Dance was the only game in the Just Dance series to use the Jade engine as well. Do you know what the Jade engine is?
No.
The Jade engine was actually developed purely for a game called Beyond Good and Evil, which was released in 2003, and they named it Jade after the protagonist in the game. But they used this engine for the first Just Dance as well.
Yeah, that's another weird one, isn't it? It's like...
Why would you use that specific engine for a dancing game?
Because, like, there's some that you can kind of understand. Like, when you tell me that Ocarina of Time runs on a very heavily altered Mario 64 engine, I'm like, yeah, I see that. They're both third-person 3D games, so
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Going from, like, an action game in 2003 to a dancing game in 2009 using the same engine...
doesn't really make that much sense, does it?
It does not seem like something that would be as likely, but I suppose if it works, it works.
So, not including the spin-offs, Katy Perry, Ariana Grande, and Nicki Minaj are the most prolific artists in the Just Dance collection, respectively having 15, 12, or 11 songs in the Just Dance series. They are the only artists to make more than 10 appearances. Katy Perry specifically has at least one song in every game of the main series, only excluding Just Dance 2017, Just Dance 2019, and Just Dance 2021. But every single other Just Dance game has a Katy Perry song in it.
Blimey.
I know, right? Out of all the singers as well. I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, like Spice Girls or Britney Spears.
Yeah.
But they don't even make the list.
I suppose it depends on who the pop stars were through that period of time, from like then to now. And
she was one of the most popular pop stars at the time.
Yeah.
Just Dance Now, which is actually a mobile game, played a role in the Emoji Movie. In the movie, there was the main character who was... It's called Accio Glitter, which must have been the name of the person you follow, who was actually played by Christina Aguilera, has the two main characters dance to feel this moment to progress out of the app. However, the song does not appear in Just Dance Now.
False advertising.
Yeah, if you...
I'm uninstalling that off my phone.
If you're judging stuff through the Emoji Movie, then you've got some problems. But if you're thinking, oh, I'll play that Just Dance Now app, let's have a go. That's not the same song as it was in the movie. What?
Yeah, stuff like that always annoyed me as a...
Delete!
Like, it's the same as you say about trailers not showing proper gameplay. It's like...
It doesn't make sense. If you're advertising something, you might as well get it factually correct.
Yeah.
Or, how much of an issue would it have been just to add that song? They obviously already had the rights for the movie. Just add that song to the game.
Yeah. Well, it could have been like this good promotion, like an update is coming to the app to promote the Emoji Movie.
Yeah,
you can play the song that they dance to in the Emoji Movie.
Play like your favourite characters. Way.
Your favourite emoji character.
Oh, God.
I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, you're not missing anything. You're really not. Everyone who's listening, do not watch that movie. And if it's your favourite movie, I watch other movies, because then they'll become your favourites. It's such a bad movie.
Be the person who's only ever seen two movies, the Emoji Movie and Citizen Kane.
Oh, God. The Emoji Movie. Basically, the premise is that this character is trying to... Oh, God, can I even remember? It's trying to be... It's, the emotion it was born to be rather than the emotion it's forced to be. And it's just like... And it's literally just product placement. There's just so much cash going out there. You can just like, there's WhatsApp, there's Facebook, there's Twitter. It's just everything. You're just like, seriously. It's like watching Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's just so much product placement. Makes you, Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the sequels. Now, the sequels I've left till the end because there are quite a few freaking sequels to Just Dance. Now, I just assumed that there'd be like Just Dance 2, Just Dance 3, Just Dance 4. No. Right, bear with me. Okay, thus far, the main Just Dance series comprise of Just Dance 2, Just Dance 3, Just Dance 4, Just Dance 2014, Just Dance 2015, Just Dance 2016, Just Dance 2017, Just Dance 2018, Just Dance 2019, Just Dance 2020, Just Dance 2021, and Just Dance 2022. And that only includes the main series. You've still got the kids series, the Japanese series, and the Chinese series, which I've got all the names for, but I'm not going to bore you with. But you've also got Just Dance Disney Party as well, and Just Dance Disney Party 2 in the kids section. And you're just like, what? What? And apparently that doesn't even include all the Just Dance, like I've mentioned, the Just Dance mobile app and Just Dance Ultimate, which is an online thing that you can go and play whatever, all your lovely favourite songs and talk to your friends and stuff like that. I did not know Just Dance was such a thing. Like, I played the first one ages ago. I did not know how much it's exploded. And I was just like, there's so much in the sequel bit. So much more than just Pikmin 1, 2, 3.
Just too many sequels.
And the Pikmin app. But seriously, like, can't the kids just play the Just Dance normal? I never thought of them as not kid-friendly, apart from all that hell that was mentioned. But apparently that was censored, so that's fine.
Yeah, I guess so. But then, I don't know. I suppose they're as prolific as the Now albums, aren't they? Now that's what I call music.
I suppose as long as there's new music going out, there's always going to be a Just Dance. They have found a very easy... It makes me think of the wrestling games. It makes me think of the football games. It makes me think of every single one of those games that just bring out a new one every year because it's got the latest teams, it's got the latest lineup, it's got the latest fighters, and now it's got the latest music. So for something that was actually received quite badly with critics, they have cashed in big time.
Wasn't there a Just Dance Star Wars?
Probably. It's not on my list, but probably. There's a Just Dance Disney Party, so there's probably a Just Dance Star Wars. And they were considering making a Just Dance movie. Apparently that was in the works at one point as well.
I think I remember that, yeah.
Not only being part of the Emoji movie, which is a rubbish movie, don't watch. Just slipping that in there again. They were thinking of a Just Dance movie. A Just Dance movie? What would that even be about?
We've already said what that would be about. It's just a remake of Footloose, but it's about Just Dance.
And it'd have all those people in those iPods sort of like garbs.
I suppose maybe you'd have a scene with like, what is it? Like fogged up glass with people dancing behind it, so you get the silhouettes. But otherwise, it's just the same plot. It's just there's a town that hates dancing and...
old people who don't use computers.
And then somebody shows up with Just Dance and a Wii and slowly but surely gets everyone dancing.
I'm sure they'd use at least the Nintendo Switch these days. Because apparently there's a lot of sequels.
No, they're showing up with the Wii.
Everyone grab a nunchuck.
No, you don't. You said they don't use a nunchuck.
Oh, everyone grab a Wii controller. And a nunchuck. You're old, you don't know what you're doing. So, that was Just Dance. Do you have many fond memories of dear old Just Dance game?
No.
Simple. To the point. We like this in this series. The title is simple to the point. The response was simple to the point.
I do not often Just Dance. To be fair, if I was at a party and somebody wanted to do it, I'd probably do it. But I wouldn't go... It's not something I'd get out of my way to do.
Yeah. It's not something that I'm like... As soon as I got the Nintendo Switch, I was like, I have to get the latest Just Dance. And I'm sure the latest Just Dance have got all the latest music and all that kind of good stuff. It was a simple premise, and I'm still surprised about how it came about. I did not guess it was going to be from a Rabbids game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a simple premise, and it's obviously made a lot of money for people. And it's another simple concept game that is very easy to get on board with. The more people that come to the Nintendo side, the better. The more casual gamers. I don't particularly think it's a bad idea to have casual gamers, so However they want to play is up to them, and it's obviously been very popular.
Yeah.
Even if not well received. I mean, I feel that the negativity comments I was in the reviews were being too picky. And obviously that was reflected in the sales. I think if you just take it literally as the title tells you to, as a just dance game where you just dance, it's harmless. It's a harmless game. It's definitely not hitting any of my top 10s, any of my top 20s, any of my top games, basically. It's not on the list, but it's harmless. It's an absolute harmless game.
Yeah, it's been definitely an interesting development story. And obviously it's become this massive juggernaut now. So it is interesting to go back and look at when it was like this whole new thing. And I didn't remember it was 2009. For whatever reason, I thought it was a lot earlier in the Wii's life.
I had to keep on putting in 2009 when I was doing my research, because there's so many Just Dance games. If you don't put specifically the year it comes out, because it is Just Dance, it's not even Just Dance 1, it's just called Just Dance. It kept on saying, don't you mean Just Dance 2? Don't you mean Just Dance 2022? And I'm like, no, I just want the first one. Give me info on the first one. Don't you mean Just Dance 3? No! Right, 2009, that version. On the Wii, that version, that Pacific version. That's the stuff I want. But it was probably the most interesting out of the whole selection to do a review on, because it does seem like there was a lot of changes made between Just Dance and Just Dance 2. And Just Dance 2, it feels like a lot of the things that came from that one has been moved on to the rest of the series, whereas this one is a standalone in a sense, because a lot of those concepts haven't moved on.
It's more like a proof of concept, and then the sequel kind of establishes it.
It's what do you do for a series when you want...
Pilot.
It's a pilot. Just Dance is literally the pilot episode of the Just Dance series.
So you're saying that there's not quite enough information to start a new spin-off podcast called Just Nostalgia?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. But that was a Just Dance series. Please leave your comments below, whether you've ever played the game, if you're a die-hard fan, or you feel like checking it out. I don't think it's a bad game to check out if you had an opportunity to. Yeah, we always want to hear from you. Please follow us at ABK Studios on our Twitter account, and like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We always want to hear what you think, so let us know what you think about the Just Dance.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us today. Next week's episode is on Super Mario Galaxy.
Yes! You like Super Mario Galaxy?
We've done quite a lot of first-party games this season, but if you're like, oh, Just Dance, I wish they would talk about more big games like Mario.
You're in luck.
Well, you're in luck. I mean, we only covered one last week, but we're going to do it again.
We're Nintendo fans. We like a bit of Mario. Mario's always awesome, and Legend of Zelda, and all the rest.
Yeah. So that's next week's episode. But until then, we will see you later. Take care, and thank you very much for listening.
I've been Vicky.
I've been Phil.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.